I swear, the only way to buy in this world if you don't have that way of money, you got like 100% like slave all the time or something, is the rules have to bend for you in some kind of supernatural way, basically. I'll give you some examples here, right? Little birds and frogs, deer, squirrels, rabbits, etc., 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 living in climates where, by all logic, they should freeze to death or be pelted to death by giant hailstones or be, electrocuted by bolts of lightning or, etc., etc. I mean, like, take South Dakota, for instance, right? There's a bunch of, like, antelope and mule deer, types of deer and antelope and a bunch of, decent sized birds and stuff hanging out there. And the temperature can get like 30 below zero or more. And it's, storms really heavy. And it's mostly like open plains without a lot of, tree cover for them to even hide. And there could be, a lightning storm, hailstones the size of freaking baseballs that come down there sometimes and stuff, knocks holes in people's houses and breaks windows in their cars and breaks windows in their house, busts up their roof on their house and shit like that. And yet there's like next morning there's like deer walking around like I'm just gonna walk around in the snow with nothing to eat, getting pelted, by the baseball sized hail that would kill me if it hit me in the head or yeah, right. Or the take the it's a rigged game here. It's like a torture chamber kind of. If you don't already have a buttload of money and you haven't like completely conformed to whatever program you're supposed, if you're kind of like non-programmed and just trying to survive here, it's like a hell basically. It seems like, yeah. I don't know. I know there's people living in cars and stuff like that. I've seen an overweight, middle-aged, or beyond middle-aged guy, in like his mid 50s, unhealthy drug user living in a car that is a small car, has no logical reason why it should even run most of the time. Most of the time, he doesn't have gas in it. Never remembers to charge his phone, and yet he's always got enough power on his phone to play freaking pool or something. Uh, has so much garbage and trash stuffed in the car. Managed to live in it for years in shitty climates in an area where generally aren't even allowed to live in a car most of the time anywhere. He was able to get by. I've seen people live in such shit conditions and terrible weather. I remember the day I had to move out. The day I had to move out of the so-called apartments that I was in the town over. It was like Christmas Eve or right before Christmas Eve or whatever. And there was this like ice storm to where it was straight ice capades, rock solid, like about an inch thick of freaking ice on everything, on the road, on the grass, you know, in the gravel driveway areas, on the fucking cars, everything just frozen solid. I had to move everything out and get out of there that day. And that sucked. That totally sucked. But I wasn't, the fact that somewhere out there there's people, you know, probably not even that far away from there, allegedly, somehow, just living in a tent during that shit when it's like, I don't know how many degrees below zero and so icy you can't even walk around. There's people like living in a tent or living under a bridge or something and that shit. But not even allowed to make a fire or anything. Ain't the laser, dude. Watching some 80s movie that. Freaking psycho robots chasing people around a shopping mall and killing them. Interesting movie. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. What was I saying? Yeah. There's a whole lot of stuff here that doesn't make any sense. I come to a point where money's getting low to the point where I'm thinking of trying to pack it up and live in a car or something. And there's people that are doing it, but the things that they deal with and they go through and stuff is the world has never worked that way for me. I'll hear people like just walking around and driving around living in their car in some parking lot or something, seeming like they're perfectly happy with doing that. And they have no space and even a guy that old and pretty big guy. And there's other dudes, 6 foot, sleeping in the back of a fucking compact car or something for years and years. That sounds like fucking hell to me, man. It does. It's like one way or another in this world, just like every day has to be the constant, steady, never ending pursuit of the almighty dollar. And even if you do that, there's no freaking guarantee whatsoever that you're going to be allowed to have any sort of shelter or any sort of place where you're allowed to sleep without being fucking harassed and attacked. It's that's what it's come to now. But it sure as hell seems to have come to here. It's very expensive. You need to basically spend every waking hour in pursuit of money, and then try to get to sleep early so you can wake up early and go pursue money again, and just do that forever and ever, and cross your fingers and hope that that means you have somewhere that you're allowed to fucking sleep. That's pretty much where we're at, unless you won the fucking lottery, or you started out 20, 30, 40 years ago or something, and got a bunch of credit score and all this kind of shit, or you've got a bunch of family and friends to help you out or something. But somebody did have money to rescue you, and you're just kind of screwed. That's what it is here, man. Because in most places, man, the cops could like harass and ticket you or something just for trying to sleep in a car. There's like cops and security people around everywhere, and ranger people and forest cops and everything, trying to just keep you from having anywhere to sleep. And they'll be like, "We have services, we can help you." And a lot of, I think a lot of people disappear that way, and then rich people have organs or something, or they haul you off to some secret, FEMA camp or something somewhere, and you just disappear. I don't know what the fuck happens, probably, you know, or you just get sick and fucking freeze to death, or somebody knifes you for your backpack or your shoes, or who knows what the fuck, live in a situation like that. It's fucking shit. This world right now, the way it is, it's shit. And a lot of the people are shit too, to be quite honest. Or else the world wouldn't be so shitty. The world would be so much better if it wasn't for the fact that it seems like the majority of the people are, you know, I hate to be mean, but shit people, basically. Mean, nasty, cruel, heartless, uncaring, mindless drone slaves that don't give a fuck if other human being lives or dies or has anywhere to sleep, or ain't no friends in this world that I'm aware of. Real friends. Yeah, I used to think I had a whole lot of friends, man, when I was younger. And I've met lots of people that I've talked to people that I've tried to be, a bit of a friend to, tried to help them out when I could, where I could, or whatever. And hung out with them and talked to them and stuff like that. But I never had the resources to really help them, not much. Hell, mostly I was end up helping people out that had more resources and in a better situation than I was. They're bumming money from me when they had a home and I didn't, or something, or bumming money from me when they had more money than I did, you know, or whatever, you know. Just you know what? I'm sorry, man. No, there's good people and there's probably kind of a lot of good people, but they're just, you know what I think the truth of the matter is? I think there's a lot of good people out there, but they're not the ones who have any of the fucking resources and the money and shit. The only people out there that are like rewarded in this world are like, you know, pure evil, basically. And just get out there and start robbing and murdering people or something, or doing some kind of horrific shit, you know. Hell, I could become a world leader, right? I could be an astronaut. I could be a Hollywood actor. They'd hold parades in my honor if I did that, wouldn't they? Seems like it. Like that's, and if you're just a very good, obedient, like robot slave that can, you know, doesn't require food or sleep or love or any sort of anything to bring you happiness, and you can just find joy in doing some repetitive, mindless task all day, every single day in pursuit of money, then eventually you'll be rewarded enough to have maybe like a motel room or a crappy apartment that you never own. Something along those lines, probably. If enough people get together and do that, pool their resources, then they can get something better, which you never really own, basically. Just trying to trying to survive, trying to get by while we're here in hell or whatever. Shit, I've been up all night. I was trying to be. I was trying to make up my mind, trying to talk myself into taking off to go live in my car right now, just to save the $350 that it would cost me for the next damn week in a motel. Because, you know, I should have done it a long time ago, I guess, but I haven't really felt very well, and I didn't think I would get feeling any better by trying to cramp my 6'3", 220-pound ass into a back seat of a fucking car in the middle of some shitty parking lot or something, while I, you know, surrounded by tweakers and cops and that let the tweakers do whatever they want, might fuck with me for trying to sleep in the back of a car or whatever. I don't know, you know. I don't know. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the key. the key to freedom in this part of the country, at least, the key to freedom and resources and connections and people that'll help you. Yeah, and getting left alone by the police and everything else. It's the key to everything. It's called meth. Just have a bunch of meth and do a bunch of meth and share the meth with people and go be a criminal in every sense of the word if you can, and the cops will leave you alone all the time, and you'll have lots of so-called friends and stuff, and people will rent places to you and have all kinds of women that want to be my girlfriend all of a sudden, and so on and so forth, probably. Or the government will give me a free house or something, whatever, right? That's kind of how the shit seems to work here for the most part nowadays. I mean, depends on where you are. I mean, there's. I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. As far as the whole left wing, right wing thing goes, and communism versus capitalism and all this kind of shit, I don't think any of the isms got it right, except maybe if we, if you get together enough people that were halfway decent, kind people, and have some anarchism. mm, I don't know. I guess we're in a time of where they do these resets or whatever on the simulation and bring us into an apocalypse. It's funny. Even though I didn't like build up a lot of money over the years and get myself set up to have a place and all this kind of stuff, I was actually prepping and trying to get gear for thinking of, oh, the apocalypse gonna come and all this kind of shit, right? And then I waited and 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 stored up tons and tons of food and other stuff. And it was like, oh, all right, I set up surveillance cameras and tall fences and locked fences around the house and floodlights up everywhere and, motion detector floodlights and ones that would even work during a power outage and, you know, try to beef up locks and whatever I could do, right? And none of that matters at all because I don't have that place anymore. Of course, none of that would have really mattered that much, anyways, if things did completely break down. Would have at least needed like a tall gate over the driveway or something in addition to all that stuff. Would have been a good addition to buy more time because there's too many crazy tweakers and stuff across the street from that place, but too many windows at the house and stuff like that. But still, that place would have been a heck of a lot more, defensible and okay or whatever than trying to be in a fucking car. And at least I had pantry and places to store a lot of food and it was perfectly fine for me to have a bunch of guns. Like I was basically kind of a prepper for years, but basically a broke prepper, you know. Ended up ditching most of my stored up food supply because I just didn't have anywhere to frickin' put it, you know. I guess I should have wrapped it up in a bunch of layers of plastic bags or dug a hole in the ground of the woods somewhere and built a little wood box to put the plastic bag in or buried it in the ground somewhere in case I ever was starving and I could dig up my bags of rice and beans, right? Fuck, I don't know. Christ. Nobody but the freaking millionaires, basically, or the people that are considered millionaires on paper, the people that are, part of the machine, good, obedient, worshipful cogs in the freaking mammon matrix machine are allowed to have any sort of home whatsoever, seems like. Here I am, 39 years old, wondering if I'll be. Now I can go out and try to do DoorDash if the new phone that I just bought to try to replace or hoping that it would be better than this other phone that I had already working that I'm talking on right now. Since this other one won't even work with DoorDash. I guess if I drive around all day long making DoorDash deliveries, like freaking 4 or 5 days a week, 5, 6 hours a day or more or something, I might be able to come up with enough money to keep the just to barely keep the freaking bills paid so I could continue to have a motel room long as I can keep the discount rate or whatever. But that's about the best I could do by, spending most of the day off doing the job or whatever. I don't see any room for advancement to move into a situation where I can keep the cost of living down low enough to actually see the bank account balance going in an upward direction, you know? This world basically it's like it makes you sell your soul. It's like sell your soul or live in fucking sackcloth under a bridge. One thing, it's I wouldn't be surprised if it does turn out to be the homeless people under the bridges and the guys, you know, even the guys that are like, on the street corners in Portland shooting up fucking crack and or whatever the hell on the street. The guys standing around going, Joel, because they're so fucking high on whatever the fuck. If there is a heaven and a hell, those people will probably be the ones that get into heaven, and all everybody else that sat around and made the world so shitty by being freaking brain dead slaves and continuing the system that caused that will be the ones that are burning in fucking hell. Probably. Get to heaven, be surrounded by a bunch of crackheads and fucking crackheads and dirty stoner hippies and all the seemingly nice, clean cut people living in their nice houses, pretending to be nice with their nice, rich friends. They'll be like roasting on a spit in hell. While the guy on the street corner dressed in rags begging for change will be sitting in a mansion in the clouds or something. Right? Maybe so, maybe so. Maybe that's the fucking point of this place. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't. Seeing the way this world really is, like for the most part, I don't see. I'm not seeing the whole, you know, love, kindness of God thing. I mean, okay, if you want to say God is glorious, God is wonderful, God is good, well, I suppose so. He uses his magic God powers to keep the homeless person sleeping under the bridge alive while they're sitting there shivering and freezing their ass off, fucking damn near starving in a shitty tent under a bridge when it's fucking -30. So, so kind of him to keep them from freezing to death so that they could go on living and continue to shiver and suffer for ever and ever until they eventually fucking finally die. Right? I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it, but like this seems more like a torture realm for anyone that hasn't sold out to it. Now you can sell your soul basically and sell out all your beliefs, all your own personal, sell, just surrender your will. Yes, surrender your will. Be obedient. Do what the system wants you to do. Serve the mammon. Serve it. Serve it. Serve the mammon. Serve the mammon. Serve the mammon. Serve the evil. Do its bidding. And you can have a home. You can sleep in a bed. If not, you shall suffer and die. That's like the world we're living in right here, dude. Basically. Sure as fuck seems that way. Damn it. I shouldn't have did that. I don't know, man. Sure as heck isn't, sure as heck ain't the Elysian Fields or heaven or whatever you want to call it, right? There's beautiful places here. Yeah. It's made to look like this beautiful place. It's part of the torture, you know. Well, yeah, that's the torture in this place. If you're really hungry, you'll always, you know, see somebody else walking by eating some delicious food that you would really like that isn't sharing shit. If you don't have a home and you go take a drive or a walk down the street, you'll walk or drive past a whole bunch of nice houses and big farms that you dream of, that you wish that you could just live in a house and grow a big garden out front like they have. And, you know, if you maybe you thought it would be cool to have a boat, or you had dreams of sailing or something, you'll see all these pictures of there's people on their, you know, super expensive sailboats or whatever. Maybe you're lonely. You get to see a bunch of people with their wives and girlfriends and friends laughing and having a good time. You know, maybe you're born without arms and legs. You can look around and see all the other people with their arms and legs intact. And gee, I wish I was had those. You know, or you're really sick and look around and see all the healthy people and think, boy, would it be so much nicer to be healthier. You know, etc., etc., etc. You know, grass is always greener. What the heck is this now? Oh, Farscape. Never been a fan of that. Let's see, the channel says MacGyver, but it says 2016, so does not compute, does not compute. Can believe they made all those Kickboxer sequels with dude that played Cody Lambert, step by step. Uh, Whoa, dude! Huh. I'm like totally gonna do a spinning back kick, bro. Huh. Right? Uh, oh, yeah. What the hell is going on now? Anyways, so yeah, the world is a vampire sent to drain. Secret destroyers hold you up to the flames. Now, I guess it is better just to think happy, happy thoughts or whatever, and just try to focus on what's good or delude yourself into believing, making something bad into something good by, well, like this guy at the store said when I mentioned that I ended up still living in that car or something. He's like, yeah, they do that. Just like go out. I'll just pretend like I'm on a trip, man. I'm just having fun. I'm out, like I'm just going camping, bro. You know, just gotta like convince yourself of that. Think happy thoughts or whatever, and go drive around and do whatever you can do to try to make the best of a shit situation or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the attitude a lot of people have. And honestly, I kind of capable of doing that. When it gets bad enough, I can do that. I can do it. I fight doing that because that whole acceptance thing, giving up, basically. Yeah, you know what? Actually, when how you really get free from pain and suffering, I've learned is it's kind of like the Eckhart Tolle deal. Honestly, it's be in the now and focus on what's good or whatever. Like, well, sure, my mom just died, but candy bar. I've got a candy bar. Look how wonderful the candy bar is. I'm so happy about this blanket that I'm sitting on right now. I can get under this blanket and it'll keep me warm. And this pillow's so nice. I love my shirt, my socks. Aren't they wonderful? Look how cool my shoes are. Look how pretty that tree is. Look at the flowers, honey. Think happy thoughts. Uh-huh. You can live like that and you'll have a happier life. But in order to have a happier life in this place, you gotta basically one of two ways. Although most people that would preach this sort of stuff, they would regard it as trusting the universe and gratitude for everything. Because that sounds a lot nicer. Hmm. Constant gratitude and for everything. You know, being thankful for everything all the time. You know, always being like, oh, thank you, God, that I have this flashlight, for it brings me light in the darkness. Thank you that I have this water bottle, for now I can quench my thirst, Lord. You know, thank you for this bleeding wound that I have, Lord, for it's taught me a valuable lesson that knives are sharp. You know, thank you, Lord, that I broke my leg, for now I can enjoy the comfort of this cold ground that I sit upon, you know, that you have created in all your wonderfulness, right? That's pretty much like the gratitude idea, right? Oh, my mom and my grandma and my aunt and my uncle are all gone, and my dad's abandoned me. Oh, but thank you that I got to live in a nice house when I was younger. I'm so happy that you know, that's the idea, you know. It's like you sent a plague to kill us all, but thank you, thank you for not killing me back when things were good, right? Or whatever, right? Oh crap, he's got a sword. Oh, you're gonna cut my head off. Oh, well, thank you for using the sword instead of a axe or a dull butter knife. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful. That's the idea we're supposed to have here, right? I guess gratitude. You know, be happy about everything, and whatever you do, don't call out the world for being shit. Don't ever feel you're entitled to anything because you are less than nothing, lower than the slimiest shit on a shoe on the foot of a worm's ass or whatever, right? Or, yeah. Yes, yes, yes. We must all always be like thinking about how slimy and worthless and pathetic and losers we are, and how grateful we are for the crumbs at the master's table. You know, that's the situation. That's I don't know, man. Just seems like this place is screwed up in so many ways. Oh, geez, almost an hour now, Brandon. Down negative. You just have to think about the wonderfulness of everything and the abundance shall follow. Right? It's definitely a happier way to go through life if you can make yourself believe that shit. Because, you know, well, it's kind of like the same way, like, uh, kidnap victim that was, you know, raped and tortured or something can be a lot happier if they convinced themselves that they enjoyed, you know, they wanted it, they enjoyed it. They were asking for it. Oh yes, they were begging. They wanted it so bad. And now they're just so happy and so grateful that their captor has graced them with such a loving presence, you know? I mean, look, that's definitely a happier way to be, happier way to live. If you can just be like, you know, oh, my house burned to the ground, but gee, I sure am glad I have this shirt. I really like this shirt. Just so glad that the shirt wasn't in the house when it burned down. Thank you, Lord, for my shirt that I'm wearing, you know, etc., etc., right? If you can have that kind of mindset, you know. Yeah. If you can hold on to that kind of mindset with everything, then have a much happier time here, you know. Convince yourself that you enjoy doing all the things that are totally against your will and that you have no interest in doing. Yeah, you basically have to be of the mindset here that, you know, in order to have happiness in this world, you got to be kind of like, to get happy and stay that way, you've got to be like, well, yeah, you may have smashed my face in time and time again, but that will only make my face stronger. Thank you so much for making my face stronger, you know? That's like what you gotta. Like as a jerk. Oh, movie on muted. Hmm. Alright, I'm gonna shut this off. This has been a course in optimism and pessimism. Spoken. Yeah. Alright, honestly, here's my thoughts on the optimism and pessimism. Optimism is a happy way to live. but it's delusional. It's entirely delusional in this world. Unless you're just super duper, like, having a wonderful, you know, in a wonderful situation in every sort of way. I don't know. It's not totally delusional. It's you can find truth in a bit of in so much of it, I suppose. You know, I do appreciate that I have a bed that I'm laying in a bed instead of in a you know, with a curtain on the windows, sitting in front of a TV in a room with an air conditioner and lights, and my device is powered up and mini fridge with a sandwich in there, you know, as opposed to being stuck in the back of a car right now in some parking lot with a bunch of, you know, tweakers around and so on and so forth. I definitely feel better here than I would in that situation. Yeah, I've heard people say the way to actually gaining more is to want less, to want nothing at all, to let everything go. Detach from everything. Well, it's not like we get to keep anything in the end, anyways, I suppose. If you want to keep anything until your end, you just have to be a good little slave forever. Cross your fingers and hope, pray and beg and bow and scrape and do as you're told and so on and so forth. And I don't know, man. I can't help but think, you know, like, fuck this place and the horse it rode in on, basically. That's kind of how I feel about it in so many ways, but my bad.